Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Nuggets News. Well, it's been a fantastic week. Thanks to everyone that sent us kind messages. We really have become like family in the Nuggets News community, and you guys have shared this journey with us for a couple of years. And for me, you guys know that success, a happy, healthy family, that's what I care about, rather than material objects, as I discussed in a podcast last week. Now, not only have we welcomed Louis to our family, but another 1,000 subscribers. So thanks to everyone that is sharing this content with their friends and family. Now, a quick bit of housekeeping. Charles Hoskinson of Cardano is flying to Canberra this week, and we may be trying to organise a last minute meetup. So keep an eye on my Twitter and our Facebook pages for that if you are in the ACT. It's been a huge week. As you guys know, we go over the macro news, the crypto news, and then tie it all together by having a look at the charts. Green across the board this week. Binance Coin up big percentages, and Litecoin starting to lead the way as we predicted with our Litecoin halving video. Now, it's also these mid-cap coins that I'm really interested in, between 100 million and a billion. I think this is where a lot of money is going to flow. And I want to talk about a trade we got on an Enjin coin in the 3-cent range that's up around 700% now. On this day in crypto history, so it's been a year since the SEC warned they were going to crack down on those exchanges. In 2017, the Winklevoss twins had their first ETF rejected. A couple of years now, Jamie Dimon's been telling his clients that Bitcoin's dead. In 2015, we saw uTorrent adding some crypto mining and malware. Overstock had done $1 million in Bitcoin sales back in 2014, and Malta launched the first Bitcoin fund. Now, this week we did our March update about the Australian economy. Please check that update. Guys, we're going to keep your finger on the pulse and what's happening in the Australian housing market and the economy. And as we know, there's cracks starting to appear, and we saw defaults trigger in the Suncorp bond. And we know how they package up this debt and sell it on, and how dangerous that is. Now, the Citizens Electoral Council of Australia put out an article about the IMF demanding Australia change those bail-in laws even further, where they will get your deposits if we have some sort of crisis. And we touched on this in our recent documentary. Over to our neighbour China now, and their social credit system has begun blocking tens of millions of people. So if they think you've got too much debt or you've done something wrong, all of a sudden you won't be able to catch public transport. And it's pretty scary, this utopian, dystopian future world that China is becoming, and it's creeping into Australia and other countries as well. Over to Argentina, and the peso continues to plummet. Inflation is soaring. These are the countries where we're starting to see great adoption of Bitcoin, and governments say, you know what, we've got nothing to lose really. Look at what's happening. We're going to match investment into other projects locally, and it's these developing countries that I've said for a long time where blockchain is really going to take off. Over to Europe now, and crisis brewing in Italy. And Italy have been kicking that can down the road for a number of years now, and it's finally coming back to haunt them. They have entered a recession, and it's these big name countries where people are starting to say, well, hold on, this isn't just some tiny little border country or island. These are some big name countries that are in recession and really struggling. And the ECB had to come out and admit, you know what, we're cutting our growth forecasts. Stimulus is back on the table. Well, central banks have been promising us that everything will be fine and everything will go back to normal. They've already had the backflip. We've seen the Fed backflip, and now the European Central Bank as well. There's more money printing and lower interest rates set to come. Now, the Dow and the US stock markets had a pretty awful week. We had bad jobs data pointing to recession in the US as well. Now, I don't think US is as close to recession as a lot of other countries are, but these trade deals with China aren't going well. We know household net worth tumbled by $4 trillion, the first drop in 4 years. And US credit card debt has just soared past its 2008 GFC highs. We know consumers are tapped out. They're indebted, whether it's credit card loans, student loans, mortgages. We really have borrowed too much from the future, and it's coming time to pay the piper. Will the US credit card debt be that pin that pricks the bubble and starts the recession? And it was interesting to see the CFTC come out this week and say that if we had blockchain, it could have been different, and regulators could have kept an eye on what's going on. But we know that banks hide behind that murky veil. They don't like transparency. Now, this is a weekly chart of the S&P 500, and last year during this dip, I told you guys that I was buying, that I don't think this is the crash. Central banks are going to just continue to print money. And for those people that say technical analysis doesn't work, we touched this 200-week moving average. If we have a look at the daily chart here, we've come up and touched this level again and rejected strongly. So look, I'm keeping a close eye on this. I'm not really trading the stock markets too much. I'm more looking for individual sectors that I like, uranium, gold, technology. I'm selling some options. I did a video about that for members this week, and I'll continue to keep you guys up to date with what I think are some good investment trends. But don't panic. There is a huge opportunity coming, and it's not all about doom and gloom and the market crashing. This is when there's going to be life-changing amounts of wealth made, so be prepared for it. And if we get these negative interest rates that literally the Fed are talking about this now when the next recession hits, have a game plan for what are you going to do if they start to penalize the average consumer. Have your head around how to store your cryptocurrency, stable coins if you don't want the volatility of Bitcoin, all this sort of thing, guys. And this is really important for developing countries to be able to do as well. Because I did post this week, are you ready for negative interest rates? And a lot of people saying, this would never happen. And people don't realize there's already several countries that have negative interest rates. And as we just pointed out, the US Federal Reserve, the biggest economy in the world, are talking about going negative. And I think Australia is certainly heading in for some troubled times, and depending on how bad it gets, we could see negative interest rates here as well. Now, I wanted to share this article because Kylie Jenner became the youngest self-made billionaire, and I think this is a classic example of what we are pushing to the younger demographic about what you want to be like, and someone that's become a billionaire from social media. And I don't think this is the sort of people we should be idolizing and encouraging entrepreneurship, but unfortunately, I think she's the most followed person on Instagram, and this is what young people are striving to be, influencers on social media rather than starting real-world companies. This leads to this perpetual cycle where people are just unhappy, and we see suicides, depression, drug and alcohol addiction at record levels in America, and this is really sad to watch this sort of unfolding. Now, along these lines, I did share this on Twitter, a stage 4 cancer patient being searched by police for using medical marijuana or THC capsules to treat their cancer pain instead of opioids. And this is a really sad aspect of society where common sense should prevail, but this is still the law, and Big Pharma are protecting their profits. And now that they've come out and been proven to do the wrong thing, so OxyContin producer Purdue now weighing up bankruptcy because there's too many lawsuits, hide all that money in separate funds or whatever, and just declare bankruptcy rather than facing the music. This sort of stuff really makes me angry. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. On to the cryptocurrency news now, and here in Australia we saw one of the Icecoin founders arrested as part of an organised crime syndicate. So obviously this is one that I recommended avoiding for the most part, but unfortunately a lot of our followers did invest in this one as well, so I am sorry to anyone that got hurt by this. As always, guys, you have to do your own fundamental research and look into who's behind these projects before investing. We had another scam here, Onecoin, and this is one of those, the oldest multi-level marketing, affiliate link, BitConnect, USI Tech. Onecoin was one of the older ones from back in 2014, and the prosecutors have finally arrested the leaders of this multi-billion-dollar scam. And guys, there's going to be scams in the next bull run as well. Keep an eye out for them, recognize them, and I'm going to talk about some of the projects that actually do have guaranteed interest rates currently compared to these scams that are offering guaranteed returns. Over to Japan now, where finance giant Nomura invests in smart contract auditing platform QuantSnip, and this is a project I've been really bullish on. I do own QuantSnip. I think that evolution of ERC20 and all the other Ethereum standards, they're going to need to be audited, and whoever does that well is going to make a lot of money. The Brave browser, as you guys know, I've been using this one for a while, and you can now pay up to 70% of that revenue to the content creators. This is a fantastic browser. I recommend you all use it. Ad-free, you can pay those people who you like their content of, and Brave continues to do great things in the space. Over to Enjin Coin now, and it's up huge this week, 70% in the title of the article, but far more than that since. And they're partnering with Samsung, and this is going to get cryptocurrency under the nose of millions and millions of users. It is a really easy wallet to use, digital collectibles, as well as all your cryptocurrencies. I'm going to be hopefully getting an S10 and look forward to doing a tutorial for you guys soon. Now, on the 23rd of January, I did give our members in our premium area a heads up that I think that this was going to be a catalyst. Good projects have good announcements, and Enjin were launching this wallet, and it is since up 700%. And thanks to the people that did send me messages, that did make a lot of money from this call or fundamental outlook, and that is what it's all about at the end of the day, guys, staying one step ahead of the herd. Also, Binance has been a huge performer lately, and we'll have a look at the charts, but it's been an absolute tear. I definitely thought that this was going to become a top 10 coin when I did my 2018 sort of summary and look forward. Huge monthly gains. If Binance chain continues on this mission, I think it can continue to grow long term, but always be careful. These things that have astronomical gains, don't FOMO in at the top when everyone has bragging about how much money they've made. It's often the time to be smart and locking in profits, as I recommended to members this week. Again, this is another one where we had some guys I know go pretty big on this one and double their money in just a month or so. So well done. It's great to see that fundamentals are starting to play out, because fundamentals meant nothing in 2018, 2019, and the future is going to be all about fundamental analysis for good projects. Now, MakerDAO is one of the projects that we absolutely love, voting to increase the stability fee. And what that does is controls the amount of Maker that is burned and taken out of circulation, which is putting upwards pressure on the price. And there's such a huge demand for DAI at the moment that they would need to increase that stability fee to create a bigger incentive for people to mint DAI and sell their Ethereum. And there's a bit of an arbitrage on at the moment as well for those of the more nimble, technically minded among you. May be able to take advantage of that between the DAI and other stable coins. Now, as I said before, guaranteed returns are scams, and the world of decentralized finance is slightly different. It's not a guaranteed return per se. What BlockFi and these other deposit accounts are doing are allowing you to lend your crypto out to another person that pays to borrow it from you. So these aren't pyramid schemes, Ponzi scams. You are earning interest for lending your crypto to someone else that wants to use it to trade or whatever. And at the moment, we're seeing a huge demand, as I just said, for DAI. People want to borrow crypto, and this happens at the bottom of the market or near the bottom, when people want to hoard crypto, trade crypto, get as much as they can. Another one of the indicators we'll continue to keep an eye on. So many great decentralized finance projects out there. Now, this week I did do a premium video for members talking about all the different options and how you can take advantage of this, because they are coming to the world of crypto in the form of Ethereum options and also stocks. So Apple is coming out as an ERC20 token on DX Exchange and so on. So have your head around how to use options to the best of your ability, because it will increase your chances of success, and it does let you put time on your side, which is a difficult concept for beginners to get their head around, but I do explain it in a deep detail in this video here as well. Now, this week we saw the government in the US come out and say, look, hands off. It's probably best for government to stay out of crypto for the time being. And this week I've been invited to Treasury Department to talk to the Australian government about how is best to regulate crypto, ICOs, different coins, tokens, and security tokens. So guys, wish me luck. I will be there, and I'll report back to you guys how that all goes. Now, Coinbase have been in the headlines lately. They have said they pushed out that hacking team of the employees that were sharing data. I've been a big fan of Brian Armstrong and Coinbase for a number of years, but this has certainly left a bad taste in my mouth. And it's interesting to watch these big players go in slightly different directions to the very libertarian direction they had a couple of years ago. So, look, there's a delete Coinbase hashtag going around at the moment. I'm not sure if it's that bad just yet, guys, but just be aware that everything you do is being monitored so closely on these larger exchanges. Good news for Nano fans this week. The mobile wallet app is out. They continue to iron out the bugs. They've got near instant free transactions, and if they have a good user-friendly interface that is very competitive compared to other cryptocurrencies that have that wait time, the confirmation. So there's always trade-off, guys, but Nano continues to do good things there. Certainly one I'm keeping an eye on. Over to Switzerland now, where the Swiss Stock Exchange launched an Ethereum exchange-traded product. Now, this isn't quite an ETF, but as we see, it's just this race to get institutional and high net worth clients the ability to invest in Ethereum and these other larger cap coins where I think the money is going to flow. Now, this week we saw major US retailer Kroger drop Visa, and Pom from over at Morgan Creek came over and said, hey, Visa are charging too much. Come and try Bitcoin, the Lightning Network. And this is big competition for these guys now that we have the capability to do the throughput, and the technology is getting there. It's continues to grow at a crazy rate, 30% month on month. I'm just so excited about what is going to unfold in the next 12 to 24 months. Over to Venezuela, another one of these countries that is taking this. We've got nothing to lose with the way our banking system and fiat money has absolutely collapsed, and they launched Bitcoin and Litecoin remittance services. Now, you guys know that I've continued to call Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin the big three. Even though Litecoin isn't technically number 3, it is already starting to make a move for that position, and I think we are going to see Litecoin and stories like this, where it is the oldest blockchain without a hard fork, huge community, trusted. It's got the track record. Whether it's institutions or countries, they are going to continue to use Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin, as well as others as well. We see Dash, Nano. They're all going to have their time in the sun, but really bullish on Litecoin long term, guys. Still. Over the UK, and we have a survey, 73% of consumers say they don't know what cryptocurrency is. And we forget that a lot of the speculation came from the US, particularly Australia, some countries throughout Asia. We now see local Bitcoin's volumes in those developing countries, but there's still plenty of regions that didn't really have that huge mania as we saw in 2017. And this is just the next wave of people that are left to be converted, whether it's through speculation or real world use. If the euro breaks up, I think we're going to see huge adoption of crypto as those debt defaults and that countries continue to fracture away. Starbucks making a deal with Bakkt. So we know this has been happening behind the scenes, but there's some sources now claiming that they're going to really push to have that as a payment system in Starbucks. And we know how many Starbucks there are, guys. Imagine being able to tap and pay with Bitcoin or Lightning. Hopefully that user interface is that friendly you won't even realize you're using it at the time, and that's when we start to get mass adoption, real world use. As I just mentioned, that DX Exchange is launching these tokenized versions of stocks, but also tokenized ETFs, and the NASDAQ are behind this. This is one that I want to interview this gentleman on the channel soon, because what they're doing is small at the moment, but has the potential to be absolutely huge going forward and opening up the world of finance. In a similar vein, we saw eToro add crypto buying and selling for 32 states in the US. The race is on, guys. They're trying to get crypto out there for everyone to use and invest in. Fidelity, the final piece of good news this week, going live for a select eligible group of their clients, and we know that they've said there's huge demand for getting crypto exposure, getting off zero, having a small percentage in digital assets of your portfolio. Now, the Fidelity chief came out and said that they're waiting to see how the hard forks go for Ethereum, and I think this is really interesting because we may see hard forks on Bitcoin in the future if we implement privacy features on chain and so on. So interesting that they're saying that we're being a bit cautious around Ethereum, and this is an issue that's going to be hotly debated in the future, particularly if we have an ETF and Bitcoin needs to hard fork to add additional features. But as we said, Bitcoin is the king, guys. That is where the majority of institutional money is going to flow first. Final story here, the CFTC chairman suggests the launch of Bitcoin's futures led to the price decline. Now, we know that Bitcoin futures launched on December 18th. I remember it because it was my 30th birthday, and prices have only gone down 80% since. So look, I don't know if it was just the futures, and we know that these aren't crypto backed. They're cash settled, so I don't think we can say that's the only reason that Bitcoin's price has gone down. We know it had a tremendous run and it needed to correct before we have that next wave of adoption. Over to the price now, and here we see this Enjin trade, guys. So we posted about this when it was trading around 3 cents here back at the end of January, and well done, guys, up 700% only in crypto. This is why we do our research. This is why we focus on fundamentals as well as technicals, and we tie it together with sentiment, because now, there's a real euphoria, and I'm surprised it's holding up this well. So let's see if it does give a lot of this back and comes back to the moving averages. But whether it's BNB, Enjin, whatever coin, guys, don't go chasing and FOMOing here unless you're really bullish on it for the next few years. We normally have a pullback, have a game plan, and stick to it. So let's have a look at Bitcoin. And last week we were looking for the 5th to mark this turning point on the time cycles here. Now we have had a slight push up higher, but I'm still seeing a lot of people really bearish. And if we zoom in here, we can see that we've basically held the exponential moving averages on the daily all week, and as long as that's holding, guys, you have to remain reasonably bullish. I would have thought, if we zoom into this 4-hour chart, if we were going to correct more, it would have been on this dump, and it didn't follow through. Look how quickly the buyers stepped back in and again held those moving averages. So that's really great to see. On the weekly time frame, we're still waiting to see if we can break through here, the big overhead resistance around that 4,100 mark, because we did reject from those exponential moving averages on the weekly. This is where we want to see a big break on good volume, but it has actually been some of the other coins that are leading. So if we have a look on the daily, Ethereum, again, holding those averages, but it's Litecoin that has been really leading from all the way back down here, and it has broken that big overhead resistance at $50. So I'd love to see if we do have a pullback at some stage, this is now going to act as support, enter the moving averages, and that would be where you're looking to trade long again, setting your stop below if we lose those exponential moving averages. So longer term, I'm going to do a deep dive. I uploaded that for members this week about where the market is standing from a technical, fundamental, and sentiment standpoint for Bitcoin, altcoins, and ICOs, and running through how to profit and position your portfolio for all these different scenarios and how I see it going out playing forward, because you guys know that I'm so bullish on this space, medium to longer term, and I believe there's a once in a lifetime opportunity coming up for those that do their research and position their accounts accordingly. So if you're interested in joining us, head to nuggetsnews.com.au. Otherwise, thanks for tuning in, guys. Smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, share these videos around, and thanks for tuning in, guys. Cheers.